9:30. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Suited and Booted. I'm your host, Jarogba. To my left.
Lord Mahazi.
To my right.
Number 10.
And he's back. Fahid Ben Khalfallah's over there.
Over there.
Welcome, Fahid. How you been, man?
Fahid.
I'm good, bro. How are you?
You good?
It's our first double guest, huh?
Yeah.
He was the
Yeah.
only one that was going to be the first double guest.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
True.
So what's been going on with you at the moment?
Nothing, man.
Nah, seriously, how's everything all good with your players and
Yeah.
stuff like that? We'll get to that really soon, obviously.
About
But
what?
just
Yeah. What are you talking about?
All right,
It's been good. It's been
Wait,
good.
no,
Can't
can we
complain.
open up that we actually did go for a coffee with Fahid, me and Rashid, to talk about something? He goes, oh, man, I need to like speak about some stuff, you know? And he's asking us to come on the podcast, which I don't know if we
When?
That didn't register to
we
me.
caught that, we registered.
Oh,
And then he went on someone else's podcast, and next thing you know, it's in the news in the UK, in Spain,
well done for you.
around the world, and
Yeah.
we were like, "Ah, shit."
That's let's just get straight to it, man. Let's not beat around the bush.
All right.
Hope all you guys out there are well, by the way. Hit that 5-star on Spotify, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
Except that one guy that gave feedback last week.
You know what?
How
I'm
do
gonna hold on. This is more important than Mata or whatever. Let me say something.
Okay.
I'm me.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna change, man.
does that
No,
have to-
no matter how many people say, "Oh, you gotta take it on board," I don't care. That's how I act. There's a way to give me constructive criticism because someone hit the DMs and said it. They said, "Man, no hate, you're killing, but maybe try come from this angle." I was like, you know what, bro? Respect. Don't just tell me that the whole show gets better because I suck.
Well, the worst part is amateur agents are supposed to ask us questions.
No
not-
shit.
Not give advice.
No
to
shit.
The host.
What if it was like the head of up the sport or something?
Hey,
I
can
told
you
him-
give us some feedback?
about
For,
what?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Jerome needs to
About
dress
what?
better.
Have you watched any of our shows, bro?
No, I don't.
Nah,
you
I don't even watch him. Why would he watch him? I don't even watch him. Oh, I'm here. All right. Let's get this straight. I've got a few questions for you, and I'm going to be fair. So I'm not attacking you. I'm going from different angles, right? Pause. So, Fahid, what is your connection to Juan Mata? Are you his actual agent? Like, what's your actual connection to him?
I brought him here, and good friend.
Okay, but
But I brought him here. Like, yeah, I've helped him to come here to Australia.
okay.
Do we want to give some... Because I'm sure there's some listeners that don't even have the context of...
So it's one of the things, like, you know, I don't talk publicly about what I do
Yes.
because I don't have social media.
Yeah.
I actually don't want that. I'm not looking for that or whatever. I don't need it, and I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. So when I brought Juan and I've helped him to come into the league, you don't see me on pictures. You don't see me, like, you know, when he's at the airport. I was there, obviously, but as soon as it happened, like, in all the crowd, everything, I just went all around, just not to be seen, because I'm not looking for that kind of stuff. So it doesn't matter when people say, oh, sometimes I go to a victory game, people ask me what I do. Like, you know, oh, are you involved with the club?
Yeah,
And no,
people
I
don't even. Do people not
No.
know you're an agent?
No, they don't.
Man, let's
Probably
be
because he
real.
doesn't have
He's been
social
bringing
media.
But to be
he's
honest,
been bringing the best
but
imports to the A-League for
I
a while.
actually I don't need, and I mean, when I don't need that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I would have social media. I will talk a lot. I will speak about that. The only thing that matters to me is about what I do with my players and what I do with clubs. The rest, Juan, obviously, is a legend. And if I wanted to make a buzz, like, you know, take a picture and this and that, and yeah, after obviously what happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever, people all of a sudden said, oh, you brought Juan there. Because I don't have, you guys, obviously we're close friends, so you guys know about it. But the rest, a lot of people don't. So when I signed him at Western Sydney, I've got pictures between, like, but it's for me. Like, you know, I'm not going to share them with people or just to make a buzz, or because I'm quite sure a lot of people would have loved to have that picture. When I've signed,
I'm waiting for mine.
when I signed like Morgan Schneiderlin, or even I went with Stolgai Arslan, who was, in my opinion, the best player in the league last year.
Yes.
The Silver too.
He went to Japan. I've got a picture of Tolga because he's a friend. We've got pictures together, but you don't see me there. So people don't even know, for example. So I don't need that shit, like, because I don't have to prove what I do. I'm not that kind of person. But obviously, when you bring someone like Juan, then all of a sudden, and you defend the player, then it makes a buzz because you criticize the coach, the fact like he doesn't play him or whatever, and then all of a sudden, it goes. It's in the world because we talk about one of the biggest player of his generation.
So you weren't surprised with how much noise the comments you made last time it made?
Well, can we just clarify for the listeners? There's probably listeners that don't actually have any context to what we're talking about.
Oh right.
Let me give a breakdown. So
surely,
Fahid, you were on, I believe oh my god, man, I don't mean to do this on purpose. Is it called A-League Off Air?
With Robbie Thompson and
yes.
Maka. Yeah, I was on that podcast, and I was in Sydney the weekend, watching the derby, and that wasn't the derby. Sorry, that was against Newcastle.
The week
yes,
before.
That was against Newcastle. Sorry, and Juan didn't play everything, which was for me crazy, and getting to a point where first game, second game, and third game, and things does not make any sense. And for me now, I speak as a former player, someone who understands the football or whatever, and also the way it hurts clubs, league, everything here. It's not just about Juan or because I brought Juan here. So I said, okay, it's ridiculous. It's disrespectful to bring him on for 8 minutes or 7 minutes, like all that kind of stuff. And obviously it made the buzz because it's like, criticizing a coach. Yeah, and so what? We can't say anything. And regardless how you want to take it, for me, it doesn't bother me. Because I've always said, and obviously you guys, we know each other for a long time, I always said what I wanted to say my whole career.
I think it's actually the fact that you have credibility, which is why the statements make a buzz, right? Because people on a podcast who are nobody can criticize it, and it wouldn't make a buzz. It's the fact of who you are, the position that you're in as well.
And I never speak. Like when people,
well,
one of the things is like,
big time.
I never speak publicly. I don't try to be on the news. I don't try to do this and that because first of all, I'm not interested. That's not my place. When I speak with almost every coach is here, the sports director, everything, they know what I think, but it stays between us. When there is an issue with players, it always stays between clubs. Like people don't even know why these players left the club. There might have been a reason or something, or sometimes it stays between me and the club because
so why
I
did
never
you
do my
decide
business.
to speak with Mata though? Was it that annoying that you just sort of have to say?
He hasn't played, man.
Because one thing people need to understand. We speak about one of the biggest players of his generation.
Of course.
A World Cup winner. He won everything. And it's getting to a point where my job today is to help young players to go from Australia to overseas, to make that move, to help them during their career, and to try to bring really good players to help the league to get better. When you bring someone like Juan, who is much better and bigger than anyone who came into the league since Del Piero, it's going to help the league to grow because we need that. We're desperate. And it makes me sick at one point when I hear people, it's a development league. I fucking don't want to watch a development league. People don't want to watch that. The crowd, if you want to make money with a TV and everything, you need names. You need the game to get better. And when you bring someone like him, I always said when I brought Juan and I've helped him, why I wanted to be part of it was because the way Juan plays football, and he played football, he was one of the most technical players of his generation, one of the most intelligent player, and his football wasn't based on pace, strength, everything. So his football is not going to change so much. When you get older, and I take, for example, my own experience, I was sharp and quick and everything, and when you start getting older, you start losing that pace. So even if you become more intelligent, your football has to adapt. His football is not always going to be the same. So when you decide to bring someone like him, then you have to try to make it work. And one of the reasons why I got pissed I want to make sure to clarify. Juan, when he signed with Western Sydney, and the club they have been very good to him. From the CEO to the general manager to the people at the club, they've been terrific. Seriously, so I want to make sure people understand. I'm not talking about the club. The club has been very good. It's about when he signed was like the CEO. I spoke with him, general manager, and when we spoke about Juan, they said, it will be amazing, but we need to make sure the coach wants him.
Okay, so this is what I've wanted to ask for.
So that's why.
Since the situation, right? So before we get into Stajcic's response to Fahid, I wanted to ask, so he was wanted by the CEO?
No.
Was he wanted by Stajcic?
Well, I was clear on what I said. I think like when I spoke with the club at the beginning, they said, yes, we would love to bring him because he's obviously a legend of the game and he's a massive name and a world-class player, but we need the coach to sign off. If the coach does not want him, we won't make it happen.
Right.
So
that's what I wanted to hear.
That's why my reason, and that's why I got pissed, because if the coach did not want him, first of all, it wouldn't have happened. Yep. I can guarantee straight away. Juan spoke with the coach. I did speak with Stajcic 2 or 3 times. To be honest, I didn't know him before that or whatever, so we spoke maybe 2 or 3 times. And that's the only reason why, obviously, we made it happen, because everyone was happy to sign him. Now, my thing is like when you bring someone like him, who is, I don't want to compare him to any players, because with all due respect to every player in the league, he's on a different level. He's got a different career. So you have to respect that. And when you bring someone like him, you have to adapt your team for someone like him. And if it doesn't work for 10 or 15 games, or if the player is not good, for example, then of course you can put him on the bench. It's competition.
So what I want to ask is, and this is not necessarily my view, because he's a legend for me. He paused before saying this. He gave me one of the best mornings of my life, so I'll always love Juan. But do you think, like I know you made a point on the pod about horses running around. and you know, like it's all just about who can run more and who's stronger in the A-League. That's what you said. Do you think he could play 90 minutes every week? Or are you more just concerned about him not starting the games?
First of all, okay, you see, and that's one of the things, Jerome, you're right. Did you ever play football?
Sometimes.
At the highest level?
Well, no, obviously.
Okay. So that's one of the things. I'm sick of hearing people who never played football saying, oh, it's an intense league, whatever.
Well, there's 2 things, though, because if he's wanting him to play in a certain system that he wants to play, there may be physical markers that Juan can't do. If he's wanting Juan to go in and be the player that he can be and build a system around that, it's completely different.
But that's where the stupidity.
Signing him.
You sign someone like Juan because you want to make it work with someone like him. You're not gonna change Juan Mata. Or if you sign Messi, so if I'm telling you I bring Messi now next year, and he's 36 or 37 years old or whatever, you're gonna tell me, oh no, because he doesn't run the same when he was 30 years old.
So,
fuck is wrong with your brain?
I guess
like,
then my question is like, is the implication here or the assumption that his plan, if he says he wants to bring Juan Mata, that is a normal brain would be like, okay, I'm going to build a team around this player, right? And make a system where this player can fit into. And then when he arrives and he sees him in training, like he's not at the level of what he expected or what he wants. Is that what we're assuming happens?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Because if he says he wants him, and then he sees him, and then now he's not playing him. Surely he didn't sign him to be a bench player.
Obviously it's from signing him to now. He's seen something that's shifted in his opinion.
Nah, because you know what? That's one of the things. And look, you try to make it work. All right, we're in a country where today I watch the A-League. Obviously, I've got players working, playing there, and I want to watch Juan Mata play football. I want to see Douglas Costa play football. And I go to the A-League to watch players like Valère Jamin, Bruno Fornaroli, and all those players playing football because I enjoy it. When I look at Sydney FC, some of the players they've signed, I enjoy it. I'm happy to watch players like Loli play because you actually enjoy. Like when we play some young players, if they're good, it's great. Like last year, Nesta, for example, he was... You know, it's someone you want to go and watch him play because he's going to bring some things. He might not be consistent, but you want to watch that. Now, when you have 30,000 people turning up and saying, okay, it's biggest game of the year, we've got 2 of the superstars who signed in the A-League, and you don't play him? Seriously, at one point, it is bigger than clubs. It is, when I mean it's about the league, it's about the interest. And unfortunately, we're in a country where the soccer is not going up. It's not growing at the moment. It's in a position where it's not great, and you're trying to help by bringing world-class players that can... You know what? Juan Mata should play as a number 10, man. He can have a glass...
I'm sorry to cut you.
He can have a glass of wine and a cigar, and he will still be better than everyone on the pitch. So let's be very clear there. And that's where I get frustrated, because you have some coaches that sometimes, you know what kind of credibility he's got. You know what, now we can talk about it. And it's my opinion, and don't get me wrong, it's me or whatever. Seriously, like at one point, like it hurts the league. It does hurt the league.
I sorry, Jakey. I just want to quickly say while we're on this, you mentioned him playing in the 10. Correct me if I'm wrong. When he came on in the derby, he was playing really
6.
Yeah, 6. Well, is that what you're seeing?
You know what? People are gonna say, "Oh, he's taking a piece, everything." I actually, after that, I wanted to get a video on Juan Mata playing with the Spanish national team, with Man United, with Chelsea, as him playing as a 10, sending it to the coach and saying, maybe my bad, maybe he didn't know who Juan Mata was.
Why is he screening the back?
Maybe
the last 30 minutes of the game when you're
maybe
down 4-2.
like, you know what, I was like, seriously, you know,
Screening the back.
Hey, shift that sideways.
Maybe
yeah,
that's why he's not happy with his performance. He thinks he's a 6.
you know, no,
Bro, he
maybe
set up a goal, though.
I know.
Pot over. We
You know
did
what?
it.
And maybe, to be honest, like, I was like, okay, maybe my bad. Maybe he didn't know who Juan Mata was before he came here. But then people said, it's sarcastic, Fahid. I said, what the fuck do you want me to tell you?
Wait, okay,
It is a sarcastic or no. Okay, Juan can play as a 6 in the league. You know what? Hey, he can play 6, he can play 10, he can play 8, everything. As I said, when you bring someone like him, you try to make it work. And if after 10 or 12 games or whatever, things you can see, things don't work. Fine. That's fine. And one thing, if the team was winning, okay, why not? If the team was first, and you know what, they were dominating, crazy, oh yeah, perfect. But also people hearing, oh yes, they won against Newcastle. Well, first of all, yes. So if you had Mbappe in the team, or Messi, or Ronaldo, or Haaland, when they miss one game because the team won, so it means like, oh, you don't play them after because the team won. That is the dumbest thing. That is just the dumbest thing. So you have a world-class player, and there's only 2 in this league. That's just a fact. Like, you know what? They should be playing.
I also think that with players like Barella and Milanovic, a player like Mata is actually going to make them better, because he's not so much of a runner. He's the one that's going to put them in behind, give them the space, the ball in space as soon as they can to be damaging 1v1.
The question, though, is obviously...
When, for example, here, I always think when I was playing as a winger, if I had Juan Mata behind me, you should be licking your lips every time. If you're a striker, bro, you should imagine how good it is. Like, to have a player like him where you're going to make a run, he's going to see you.
How long would you persist with a player based off what they've done previously in their career? How long would you persist with them to give them an opportunity to show what they can do?
First of all,
obviously he's not given him much opportunity at all so far.
But the thing is, like, we're in a league where
general.
we all desperate to help. Like, everyone is trying to help the league to get better. The crowd, there's no money, like, you know, the TV rights and everything. So we all want to see the league growing. And when you have someone like him coming, and you know he's gonna be good, like, as I said, I explained tactically and technically why someone like him, it doesn't change. You can't tell me, like, when you look at them, even I take a player like Antonsen, the striker. He's not playing, he's a marquee player. Like, for me, I would play like with 1-9, 1-10, 2 wingers or whatever. You know what? You've got 2 players that can run as a winger, Juan as a 10. You can have Antonsen up front. You can have Borrello on the side, Milanovic on one side. You can have Cruyff, who's a very good player as well, with Juan in the middle. That's me, personally. That's my opinion.
So for those who don't know what Stajcic's response was, there's
that he responded in general.
Yeah, or that he responded. I mean, people saw it. Basically, I'm just going to read out some quotes. Said that too much oxygen. I don't get phone calls from every single agent's player who's not playing. They're out of order, his comments, and they were cowardly. I've got 25 outfield players. We've got 20 staff members attached to the club. We've got 20,000 members. They're my priority. I've only spoken to Fahid a few times in my life. If he had some courage, he would have stood up for his players before last year when they were in positions that they were across the world. All of a sudden, he's got the courage to come out and speak now without any comeback. Nearly done, boys. And basically just said that he was disgusted by the comments. Now, you've responded to that with
I haven't.
No, I mean not directly, but I'm saying now you've given your view on that, but directly to the comments.
No, I'm gonna respond now.
Yes, the
But-
floor is yours for Hid.
Complete the first part. What does it mean with the players?
That's why, like, when it happened, I watched the game against the Derby, everything, and Juan not playing and whatever. And after the game, I think it was like around midnight, and that's one of the time, to be honest, where usually I'm on the phone or whatever, and I get one phone call from a journalist asking me, "Did you see what happened?" And he said, "Did you see Stajcic?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Did you? You don't know what happened?" But in my mind, I thought he quit. I swear to God, that was
So
my
you were
first
happy.
thought.
Okay.
No. Look, I'm not the kind of person who will ask for someone to be sacked or whatever. I don't do that shit or whatever, man. I'm not. People get jobs, whatever. Sometimes they deserve, they don't deserve it. That's the different thing. But then he was like, "Oh no, he smashed you." I was like, "He smashed me? For what?" He said about your comments, and I was like, "Okay." So he read what he said, and I was like, "So that guy." In my mind, I was like, "Oh man, I'm just gonna go ballistic." But then he was like, I was like, why did he speak about me during a press conference after a loss?
So it was straight after the game.
Yeah, midnight. People called me at midnight. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to respond straight away. But then I was like, okay, he's just trying to change the narrative, which is so dumb. Like, I'll say it. Like, you just lost the biggest game of the year for the second time in just few weeks against your rival. And you go about talking about an agent. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I was like, okay, I'll take the night just to chill, like, you know. I'll take, and just to be, because I'm impulsive. I know it's...
Your horses comment was impulsive. You didn't need to say, if you want runners, let's get some horses out there. This guy, I read the article. I couldn't
Melbourne Cup agent.
But then I was like, okay. And then the following day, to be honest, my phone was blowing. And I was like, people were calling me, and I started getting emails from journalists that don't know me, whatever. They wanted to comment, and I was like,
Slimy bastards.
I know what. Nah, which is fine, to be honest, and I know how it is. In the same time, I started thinking, okay, I am going to go there at one point, but I want people to talk about the loss. I want people to talk about his situation. The reality is like, okay, you can talk about another agent or whatever, which he did. He said, I don't want to, but you did. And then I was like, everyone was asking me, and seriously, I got a lot of phone calls from people in the league, federation, agents or whatever, saying, don't say anything. You know what, Fahid, you don't have to explain yourself. Like, you know, you played, you have a good credibility and blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, why would I go to talk to someone? Okay, I started looking at his records and everything, and you finished last year and you got 5 or 6 times or whatever, 7 goals, 6 goals. Like, whatever we can say, you know what? And I know how hard it is to coach. And that's why I'm never criticize coaches. And I don't. And when I have got young players, you know, when I tell them, if a coach doesn't play you, work harder. Every time, young players, they can confirm everything. So I was like, okay, his comments doesn't make any sense. And the thing is like, oh, why he didn't stood up? I was like, what is he talking about? Like, you know, like every players I've got, they can speak or whatever. He doesn't know because it stays between clubs.
That's the biggest thing for me is I know they've won, 2 out of the last 3, but the game against Sydney, we left that game thinking Sydney was the best team in the league just because of potentially how poor Western Sydney were, even though they grabbed some goals. But if you're in 8th and one's probably played less than 70 minutes in the last 5 games, that's got to raise a question mark regardless.
Well, what I want to know is, in these press conferences, surely they're asking the question about Juan directly, and what's his response?
You read my mind, Rash. So, Fahid is right in saying that the comments actually, they didn't ask about Fahid directly. What they said was, I'm reading here, Stajcic was asked why he had not started Mata. Then Stajcic initially said, I don't understand the premise of the question. And then it says he took aim at Ben Khalfallah, suggesting he was the only reason, suggesting that Fahid was the only reason it's being debated at all.
No, it's
Wow.
not.
That's changing the narrative for sure.
And the thing is, like, everyone's talking about it. And the thing is, like, everyone, coaches, players overseas, players who were in the league and who actually are overseas, everyone talks about it. That's just crazy for everyone who has a minimum of football brain. It is just insane, and no one understands. I have players sometimes that don't play. I will never go and ask a player why he's not playing, because you know what? You have to be at training every day. You have to do things. You don't know how they train.
Yeah, they see them more.
And you know what? Yeah, seriously, I never get involved. I will never go and ask a coach, oh, you should play him and this and that. That's not my business, because when you sign a contract, that's fine. But once again, when you sign someone like Juan Mata, it's different. It's bigger than that. It's disrespectful to Juan to bring him in other discussion about with other players, to try to compare him with other players. And Juan will never say anything. It's not my opinion.
His nature either.
No, it's my opinion. It's me saying anything because he's a very classy guy. Look, he went to Japan, everything. He signed there for different reasons. The team was winning every week. Didn't play, didn't say anything, but the team was winning. So,
can I just ask, has there been any communication between you and him or the club around this topic? I mean,
about what?
That you can speak about?
About what?
Obviously, the
media.
There was something leading up to your outburst about the horses. What was going on between, like, when he's not playing, he's not starting? Surely at that time you're having communications.
Yeah, but
what's going on? Why is he not playing? When is he going to play?
Discussion for me, it's private. And that's why I always say, when I speak with coaches and they can tell me things, him saying, oh, players like were mistreated or whatever he said, like physically, what the fuck is that? Like, that's bullshit. Some of the players weren't happy there, but the club knows. The club knows. We spoke about that with a couple of with the club.
The reason I say it, though, the reason I ask that question is I'm thinking, look, man, I've coached at a very low level, so I can only imagine how difficult it is to coach at an A-League level. And I know that everyone complains when this player's playing, this player's not playing, why is this person playing, blah, blah, blah. But no one knows actually what's going on at the training ground, behind closed doors, in discussions. There's obviously lots of reasons why XYZ happens.
But surely as a coach, your job's got to be made easier, having Juan Mata in your team, not harder.
But that's a reason.
I know, I just wonder if there's a little bit more to what... Which is why maybe he should just answer the question.
No, but can I ask? Sorry, Fahid. Can I ask you two boys your opinion on the situation? Because I actually would like to balance a view here, because I tend to completely agree with everything he said. Milanovic for me is probably one of their best players. He's the top scorer in the league. Barello has a lot of quality, but really, from what we've seen, I don't understand.
What I'll say is, I'm not too strong on this point. For the most part, I agree with Fahid, because again, I've got a personal bias towards Mata as well. But even putting that aside, you want to see him play. Like he's done it all, right? He's a god, and you want to see him play. And yes, he can play in the A-League. It doesn't matter if he's gotten older or whatever. He's still smarter than every player on the field. He's still 2 steps ahead. They take 5 steps for him to just turn his head. They're all great points. I agree with all of them. What I want to know is, and again, this is not really my viewpoint, but do you think that comments like Fahid made, which are very fair, by the way, do you think it does unsettle a change room when the team is doing bad? Do you think for a coach that's struggling and for a team that's playing like shit, do you think that it might rock the boat a bit, even though Fahid's right?
Can I answer this one from my experience, and maybe we can answer this before Fahid? My personal opinion is as a player, if you're in that change room, it's already unsettled when Mata's not playing.
Yeah, but
because of him. Once the comments come, that's a natural effect. So I feel like that sort of what you're trying, the friction may have already started.
But everyone, he's surprised and shocked as they're playing.
Okay.
The thing is, like, at my level, even in A-League, my last year had an issue with my contract. And all of a sudden, I don't play because, you remember, with my contract situation, everything.
See, that's what I mean. Like, there's things that are going on that people don't know.
He can tell you Rush was there.
Yeah.
And players were asking questions at my level.
Okay.
Didn't understand why I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
Now you bring someone who is a superstar on a different level and you don't play him. What do you think players are gonna think? Like, you know, some journal or people saying, oh, but this league, you know, when players come, they don't do well, everything. Fucking bullshit, man. This league, it is frustrating because you can come here at 35, 36 years old, it's not old, and you can be very successful and you can be great. And you can be an example for the young players. And you can, like your career, you can have stories that can look up to you, and all that kind of stuff helps you. Now, you're saying like, oh, I'm going to stick to one system. And you know what? That is the dumbest thing you can do as a coach. Because when you're in A-League, when you're someone like Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and everything, and you can sign players and you can spend 200 millions every transfer window and whatever, and you can bring the players that are going to suit your philosophy, that's one thing. When you're in A-League, when you don't have that luxury, you have 23, 22 players, and you already have something, you have to adapt to the players you've got.
But you can agree that not all the superstar marquee signings are being good, though, because they haven't.
They've played, though.
No, that's the... Obviously, Juan Mata has just started. Like, we haven't even given him a chance to... But I'm saying that... I've said before that I think some marquee signings are stupid. I've said that. Like, Fahid's talking... I'm not going to lie. I've come out and said that. This has nothing to do with Mata. I'm saying in the past, undoubtedly, there's been shit signings.
But so once again, it's about when you understand the football and you have a football brain and you play it and you try to... Okay, I'm not the kind of person who try to sign players here and to bring players just to do business.
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm actually trying, the last players I brought, Damien Da Silva, Marcelo, by far the best centre-backs in the league, Torgay Arslan, Valère Jamin, Morgan Schneiderlin. So we can speak about the players. So I'm actually trying to help the league to get better. And every players have brought something into this league. Now you sign someone like Juan, who is on, as I said again, a different level. The football he played, if you understand, he's gonna be the same player in 2 years' time because his football wasn't based on strength, pace, dribbling, and everything.
That's the part that I don't get.
Who?
Surely when he says, yeah, I
well, that's why last time I was wondering, because when you're bringing him as a six and asking him to fucking chase around, like your guy was like, you know, like you when you played football, like, yeah, Rush, just fucking tackle everything. Well, I started wondering, maybe he didn't know him. So, but
that's what I guess I don't get.
But the thing is, like, and you know what? Juan did it. And seriously, look, I speak with him very often. Doesn't say anything. We don't talk about it. Like, because I can imagine how frustrating it is for him, but he doesn't say anything about that. And I don't want to bring it up because at the end, I'm just here, like, trying to help him or whatever.
I think also a nature of this storm has come. It's like, honestly, something that's not really been spoken about quite a lot is Bruno Fornaroli doesn't start for Victory. But no one's really digging in because Victory's second.
Yeah, but that's,
because Auckland haven't dropped a game.
And Fornaroli's not Mata.
Yeah,
but still, it's like
Jake.
a big player that attracts your fans and fan base.
I agree.
But doesn't play. But
if you want to compare, I rate Bruno. I really like him. 2 minutes, like, for me. Look, you're asking my opinion.
But would you raise the same thing if Western Sydney are first? Maybe you.
No. First of all, I wouldn't. When Del Piero came here, if you did the same thing to Del Piero, I would have said the same thing. And look, if Douglas Costa, when he first came, and if he wasn't playing, I would have said the same thing. You don't bring someone like Douglas Costa not to play him.
Do you think that, because from what I understand about coaches is you have to be stubborn for the most part in some areas. But hold on, let me finish. So do you think that he looks like... Do you think he looks a bit soft if you come out and say that and then automatically one starting every game?
Yeah, the impact of the...
Do you know what I mean?
That would have been smart.
I mean, obviously it is smart, but coaches have egos.
That would have been smart from him.
I know, but coaches have egos and there's pride.
Yeah. It's a good question.
So how much now is it an ego thing versus the right decision?
Well, yeah, that's not for me to answer.
People ask questions. When the journalist is asking you questions, he didn't want to bring it up because
part of
his
the job.
Agent. Yeah. His job was just asking a question because a superstar at your club, he's not playing. So answer that question. And you can say whatever you want. It's shocking for everyone else.
Can I just, without giving away too many details, and this is not sort of to tear down the A-League or Western Sydney or whatever, but I always did wonder, how did they, I know you're very good at your job, but how did they entice Mata to come here in the first place? Like, it must have been with a decent pay packet. You're gonna start every game. What did they sell to him?
Look, no one will guarantee anything, and especially with young players, for example, I will tell them if a coach is guaranteeing you and he's going to tell you you're going to play every game, he's lying to you. And it shouldn't be the case because there's no guarantee in football. But when you bring a superstar into a league, if Juan Mata signed for Paris Saint-Germain, of course you don't expect Juan Mata to start every game tomorrow at Paris Saint-Germain or at Real Madrid. But he will be part of the rotation or something, or regardless. So in all the big clubs in the world, when you sign a player, Juan, when he signed for Man United or Chelsea, he played, but he never had the guarantee to play. But then he obviously played, and it's competition between players. But you've got 23 superstars in that club, or 30 or whatever. They're all superstars. When you sign someone like him in the A-League, it is just common sense for me, you should play him. But now, to be honest, like, it's about what the player wants. Juan wanted to experience Australia. He really wanted to come here. That was one thing, and we spoke about it. Also, for me, it was like trying to convince him to come here because he had other offers. Like, obviously, clubs in Europe wanted to sign him, everything. In my opinion, he's great in everything. Like, off the field, on the field, he could be an example, top professional. And people can talk about some players. They can say, oh, man, this one, he's an idiot. This one is great, but he's got a shit character. Have you heard anyone saying one bad thing about Juan Mata?
Never.
Nah, but I'm serious, bro, because you know what? All the superstars, you can say, someone is going to say, oh, yeah, someone is going to say, oh, but you know what? He's selfish. Oh, this one, man, yeah, he's arrogant. Oh, this one is like, man, he's got a weird personality. None. Every coach he worked with speaks very highly.
He's a gentleman.
Speak very highly of him as a player, as on and off the field. And that's the reason why I really wanted to make it happen, to help the league to get better, to help players around him, because I put myself as a former player. I said, oh, man, I would have loved to play with someone like him. And if I was at Victory and I said, oh, Juan Mata is coming, oh, man, I would have been thrilled.
It must be so fun to train with.
So, and that's the kind of thing. That's why. And then you explain to him about the league and everything, and he understands. He came with Man United a couple of years ago at Perth. And then he's someone, obviously, who's with like his missus. They're very interested in the whole world, so
that's the great people. That's the part, because what was the main selling point of convincing him to come in? Because if you're getting offers from, I know he would have got offers from the Middle East. Fahid doesn't even need to say anything.
I won't say anything.
You don't need to say anything. Europe, Middle East, and maybe even MLS. Why did you choose Western Sydney? And I know you can't really say exactly because that's private stuff, but I'm just thinking for myself.
But you know what? He wanted also to go there. Like, it worked. Like, and as I said, and I'm gonna repeat it again to make sure people understand, Western Sydney, they have been good with him. Yeah. Seriously, like from the CEO, the general manager, they have been good. The people at the clubs, they've been amazing towards him. So he's happy with that. One thing you need to understand, Juan, regardless what he wants to do in his life, at the end, he's gonna do something great. He could be sports director at Man United, Chelsea, whatever, in Spain, in Valencia. He can work for FIFA. He can help you. He's one of the owner today of San Diego. Like, obviously, it came out publicly a couple of weeks ago, but it was done for like months and months ago. He's got relationship with clubs, so he can help so much this league to get better in terms of players, trying to convince players to come and everything. But you have one guy.
That's true. Fuck, that's a big one.
But look, I won't say it. Who he put, like, we tried to bring a superstar as soon as he signed, a massive player, because Juan obviously called him directly trying to convince him to come. And trust me, he's the only one who can do that. And regardless the connections I've got or something, I don't have his connections. When Juan Mata picks up his phone and he calls the club, his credibility is much more than me. So he can call any player and they will listen. Clubs will listen to him.
Bro,
so
Sergio Ramos would have been good here.
So he can help. He can help so much to attract players.
Similar to Jerome's question before, do you know, is he fit?
Yeah.
And able to, like you said, play a 90-minute game? Like,
he's great at training. You know, before he came, he was training for weeks with Nordjylland, which is the youngest team in Europe.
Danish.
In Denmark, but they have the youngest team and everything, and he was training with them and he was fine. And when you speak with people, he's fine. Like, he's got no issue, and that's I can't
surely more for like if you're Western Sydney and you're the clubs and you're the ownership. And
Who do you think like the fans want to go and watch?
well,
again,
this is
watch
the
the-
thing, right?
Okay, so do you guys have any more questions on the actual comments that were made? Because I sort of want to look into
Oh
the
yeah,
future.
I do have a question on that. Can I ask you, devil's advocate? Let's say you were on the other side of this. Let's say you were the coach and an agent came out and said this kind of stuff. How would you?
You know what I would have said? I would have said, I'm not going to argue with an agent. That's 100% sure. I would have said, he can say whatever he wants. I'm not going to argue with an agent. Which
leave it
I,
there.
which I would understand.
Did they ever
Perfect.
say that about you?
About what?
About running more or anything? Was that a thing?
About Fahid?
Yeah.
Fahid was
Should he
called
run
Tunisian
more?
Messi, man, after like
I was
No, he
running.
was running
I was
enough, I
running.
think.
No, but I mean,
Actually,
like,
one time
do
I
you know
yelled at him myself.
Yeah,
He told me to get fucked.
Nah, to be honest, I was running or something, but my Jean-Paul, you should have Jean-Paul de Marini telling that story with
gotta
Anthony
get him
Correa.
on, eh?
My first week at Victory, after coming back and the jet lag, everything at training, and we used to do warm up, very different to Europe, and we started like in a gym doing some whatever rows and everything, all that stuff, getting on the bike. Then after getting ready, you go on the pitch and then you start doing warm up. At the end of the warm up, I was tired. I was like, man. And Mathieu Delpierre was like, we do that every day. I was like, nah, seriously? In Europe, like seriously, you just start training. Like
Yes.
you warm up on your own or whatever, like it's very easy. And I was like, nah. And at training, I was like, my mind was like, okay, I'm working, good.
yeah.
And we had the GPSs, which in my club in Bordeaux, for example, we didn't have GPSs because the fitness coach, they don't care about the numbers. It doesn't tell you like, it's one of this league here, like, oh, the numbers, the GPSs, how many balls did you lose? How many good decisions did you make? And you know, and it's one of those crazy things today here, like you listen to people who never kicked a ball in their life, but they come with numbers and the datas and everything. Man, if I was a coach, get the fuck out of here, man, with that kind of stuff. But the first week, you know, and Muskie apparently was complaining to the fitness coach and the assistant coach, oh, he's not running enough. And the Marini came and I was like, look, seriously, just let me play my football and I'll be fine. Like, you know, because you can see like, okay, physically it was also better league, but I knew technically, like, you know, I would bring a lot to the team. And after 4 days of whatever, we had an internal game and Muskie was a referee.
Wow.
And he was like, as soon as like you win the ball, he was like transition every time. You win the ball, Bran, you lose the ball, press. And I was like looking around after 10 minutes. I was like, how am I going to play?
Fuck
So
this.
I'm coming from a top league.
Yeah.
And the way we play here was different. And then obviously you adapt and it worked well. But I was obviously a different player, like a winger or whatever. And today when you look at the league, I went to a couple of games. I watch every game. Like, it's not the same intensity.
What's the biggest difference for you? Because we speak about
Oh,
10 years ago to now.
in
I think the teams age.
quality?
A lot of the teams are so young.
Age, young players. Like, I mean, quality of, I'm not going to say foreigners, but some of them. But you look today at Sydney FC, the players they brought, they're very good players.
Quality.
Yeah, very good players. To be honest, the foreigners they've signed are good players. And we didn't have 10 years ago like Juan Mata and Douglas Costa in terms of, you look at someone like Valère Jamin, much better than heaps of the players 10 years ago. The level he played at, like, so you do have a lot of players coming and top players, but I think it's more also about couple of years. So all the foreigners were coming were quite good, to be honest. We also had former Socceroos and Socceroos playing in Australia.
Yeah.
And there was, I think, the gap between the first and the last, like now, I look for me, there's like probably 3 teams, like, you know, you take Auckland, who is doing an amazing job. The people there, like, you know, you can see they have a football brain, like Terry McFlynn is doing a great job, like Stevie as a coach, like, you know, he's got that experience, he won trophies, everything. They have a proper project. They have also an owner who they're putting the money, they're spending. So, but it's not just about that. The whole project is amazing. Sydney FC signing top player, world-class player, good foreigners, good Socceroos or Aussie players. When I look at Caceres, everything, like they're very good player, like Aussie, like very good player. And then I have a mix with some really young players, talented young players coming through. So I think that mix is good. I think Victory on the paper have, in my opinion, the best the best squad. Defensively are strong. You look at players like Jace, Gary are like getting to another level.
He's
everything
good, eh?
to be honest.
Jay's been good.
He's been amazing. But you look at, you have Bruno, who's not get even back in the starting 11.
Injured.
You've got players like Arzani or Piscopo on the bench, or like Vilupile getting injured. So I think they also have a coach who has been winning. Like, he knows how to win the league, everything. So I think that top three, I think they're better.
Can I ask from an agent's perspective, do you see the drop in quality of the league?
Yeah, crazy.
Or like the bottom few teams in the league and stuff?
Nah,
Do you think that as a financial issue, is that the clubs can't pay for the types of players that they want to get?
No,
Asia's
I think financially, that's where people are. Morgan Schneiderlin, speaking about him, Morgan came here on an amazing deal. Like, the club wasn't paying really great money. Like, the club in France almost paid everything. So it's also about being smart the way you sign players. You don't have to sign just superstars just because they have a name, but you also have players who will want to come. The problem is, like, the way you look at it, sometimes people, they think they're going to get Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, but without that money, you're not. So you have to be smart. You can get great players, and by doing the right thing, like, obviously the lifestyle is going to be people are going to like that, like, coming to Australia, but it's so far away, so it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah.
But if you're smart, to be honest, now you can have a good team. Like,
Because Central Coast is a good example.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, with Central Coast, like, let me be very clear with Central Coast. Nick Montgomery, he's a very good coach. Nick Montgomery had a lot of young players at Central Coast working with them, and he worked with them, everything. So he knew who was coming, and he was telling the coach back then, whatever, to take them. And when he took that team, all of a sudden, the team went from here to there. But he knows how to make players better. The problem is today, like, some of the young players, they don't get better. And Nick he had them for years with the academy, worked with them, made them better, gave them game time, everything, signed good A-League players. But all of a sudden, people said, oh, yeah, we want the same thing. It doesn't work every time. Like, you can have one generation where you can have, like, good players. The players he signed from overseas, they were good. Like, to be honest, like, some of them came and had a proper impact. But he also took a risk to sign players like people didn't know. But
Did he sign Caltech?
Yeah, he
Cummings.
did. Him, Cummings, like,
For me, he's the best player in the league.
You love him, huh?
You love Brian Kelter.
Yeah,
All he's
but
spoken
you
about
You said you
playing
liked him
Europe.
more than
2
Carrier.
weeks is Brian Caltech.
but you know what? He's worked. So when you do that, like, you need to work in a smart way. Some of the clubs spend money, and you look at their players and you say, like, wow, like, that's so. I think some of the club, obviously, the budget is very low. So, and it's about being.
With the
it's about being.
Brisbane team.
Some of the team, like, to be honest, like,
Newcastle team.
you start this season, you said, okay, they're gonna finish bottom 4, and that's why it's painful because it doesn't help the league. And then you've got a team like it's not easy. It's not easy, but to be honest, the problem is, like, people use that excuse to make them look good, or but it's financially, you don't have to spend crazy money. Trust me, I speak with players.
That's why I wanted to ask the question.
And I speak with players, and a lot of players will be willing to come. And I would just wish some of them, like, there's no guarantee it's not going to work. It's football. I'm not telling you. It's a very hard job. If you're going to sign players, there's no guarantee it's going to work. Sometimes really good players can be amazing in a different club. He signs for another club and it's not working because of the environment, the coach, or, the people, the way they look after you, your family. You might have an issue, like, in your personal life. So, but today, there's too many excuses about, oh yeah, but financially it drops. We've lost money, everything. Yeah, but some of the clubs still spending good money. Huh? So when I look at their recruitment, sometimes, we need to start asking questions.
Can I ask you, from someone who's played and been in an admission, like, in this agent space now, both in Australia and in Europe, for me, something that I see in the A-League is there's not that much accountability. People have really bad periods where they don't perform or they don't get the results they're supposed to get, and they stay in jobs, or they get a new job, or they get signed to another club after performing really poorly at the first club. Players, administrators, everything. is that the same in Europe, or do you see more accountability?
Look,
Right, it's
in
because the pyramid here is cooked and there's nowhere.
okay,
that's why.
Fuck, people are gonna say it's because he's doing it on purpose. Stajcic last year was at Perth, finished last, getting a job in a much better club. Like, and I'm not targeting that. It does happen in Europe.
Does it?
No, it does happen here.
Here, bro, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how players and coaches
happens.
get passed around?
No, and look, it's a hard job or whatever. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, like, I've got 2 young players in Europe today. Coaches got sacked. Rafael Borges plays for Coventry, and I was telling him, and I said, you know what, things go quick in Europe. Coaches don't have time. So after 6-7 weeks, whatever, he got sacked. The coach from Coventry got sacked, and now they've got Frank Lampard.
Come on, Frankie!
And Moussa Touré, who's at Clermont, same team, and Damien da Silva, team was struggling, and the coach got sacked after whatever 6-7 weeks. You don't have time. Here, that's why when people talk about the pressure, what kind of pressure do you have?
Yeah.
What kind of pressure do you have not to play someone like Juan?
Personally.
Seriously, like
Can't get relegated.
there's no relegation. There's nothing. Like how many coaches got sacked or are gonna get sacked this year? I don't think a lot. It happened. Don't get me wrong, but to seriously for that to happen, wow, like
It's got to be bad.
So I'm not gonna say you're not accountable because obviously everyone is trying to do their best. A coach doesn't get on the pitch or whatever to say, on purpose, I'm gonna fail or I'm not gonna. No, they all try to do their best. It's a hard job, everything. But I can guarantee one thing: if we did have relegation and promotion, things will change because clubs will have to start making proper decisions when it comes about players, signing, coaches.
Staff.
If it doesn't work after 6 or 7 weeks, trust me, you get sacked. But that comes with the pressure, like with your job. I read something, or actually I saw Guardiola talking about pressure comes with the money he's getting paid, everything, which is right. But there's proper pressure because if a team doesn't do well and you don't perform, you lose your job. But that's part of it.
But
that's why you wanted to become a coach. Otherwise, don't become a coach.
Yeah. Worst job.
There's one thing of that, what you've just said, but the other thing is there maybe not a better option? Is there maybe so many options in Europe that it's easier to hold people accountable,
Yes.
to get someone out and put someone else new in? Whereas in our situation in Australia, okay, you take a player out or you take a coach out, there's not really any better options.
No,
or
there
do you
is-
think we
I think it's
have
just
better options
financially-
and we don't give other people opportunities?
I think it's fine. I think it's financially. Clubs can't afford to sack coaches. Can't. And for a coach, if you come to a club and you're not happy with your players, in Europe it's very simple. You can find a solution, pay him off or whatever. Pay him out and he's gone. Or you can transfer him, put him in a second team, and you can just bring as many players as you want. Here with a salary cap, you cannot do that. So first of all, if you have a player, then sometimes you're gonna have to stick with it. But that's why you have to try to make it work.
What about in other codes from your experience, rugby, AFL? Is there a lack of accountability from what you can see? There's no relegation in those leagues as well.
No, there's like markets at the start of the year. Who's going to get sacked? They're way more ruthless. Do you
In
reckon?
what, in AFL?
Yeah,
In AFL?
100%. People go after like 7-8 games in those fields, but they don't have promotion relegation. It's like
Which is why I ask.
But
you can't compare.
But you have coaches here in this league where they're good, they've played at the top level, and for example, clubs sometimes they just cut budgets, and they said, okay, we're gonna go in a different way, so you have to accept it, unfortunately. But you have coaches who just don't want to do anything different. We're gonna stick to it, and using the excuse of we're just gonna play youth. Because that's one of the things here to defend, to protect yourself is like, yeah, but we're playing young players. So, that's what you're saying, like being accountable. It's too easy. Like but not everyone, like trust me, there's coaches like, they don't have the budget. They would love to be able to spend more money, and clubs that they don't. So there's nothing you can do, like, owners or whatever. For me, if you want to buy a club and then, try to help to make like Auckland, they're terrific for the league. I think that it's awesome to have them, to be honest, because like they're just gonna try to win it, and straight away, like as soon as they took the team, the first thing they said, we're here to win. which is amazing. Like, you know, so, you know, it helps. No, but it's amazing because they have a crowd, they have a stadium. It makes it more interesting. You want to watch them. Like, I can't wait to have those games like Sydney, FC, Victory, Auckland, everything, because, like, to be honest, that's what you want to watch. Like, you, at the end, my business today, I always tell, like, I want to have young players to go to Europe. But having young players playing because they deserve it or because you have to is a totally different things. And if they're not gonna play, they're not gonna be ready to go to Europe if they just play some games here, and you just train with young players, doesn't make you better. When you train with Juan Mata or, you know, Arslan or whatever, like those players, they help you understand the games, they help you to improve, you can look up to them. And all of a sudden you become a better player because you train every single day with better players. And just training some of the team today, whatever clubs, you look at them, they just have young players. I look at it. Seriously, I would put Oakley in South Melbourne. They would finish like probably like, you know, higher than some teams just because they have like more experience or whatever. So it's not normal. And some of the young players are playing and you said, okay, yeah, it's good. You're getting game time, but you don't improve.
I think to round out the Mata thing, I think when Western Sydney do good, the league feels like it's doing good because they do have, well, not currently, but when they are doing good, they have a good fan base. They're a powerhouse club. They have the potential to be the biggest club in the country. And at one point, you thought that they were heading in that direction. So for the league's sake, we want to see Mata play. Everyone does. Who doesn't want to see him play? And everyone wants to see Western Sydney.
Stajcic.
Most of us want to see him play.
You said Juan gave you the best morning of your life. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, pause.
I'll tell you what I meant by that. I'm in my living room. It's like 7 a.m. We get a corner. It's like 80 minutes. And he puts in one of the best deliveries.
Swirling, bro.
And then bang, bro. He's a legend for
Bro,
that.
I saw him score a bicycle kick. Angel Di Maria's chipped the ball like a great no-look pass, but he's hit it awkward height, waist height. Mata's just bicycle kicked at Anfield across his body, across the keeper,
Dude,
into the bottom corner.
He's a legend.
Bro,
And I was like, yeah, holy sh**.
Can I just to round it out, can I just ask, we were speaking about Juan's like assist, crazy goal or whatever, and I wanted to ask you this, it's got nothing to do with the Mata situation, but in this day and age, being an agent, are players getting offers for one good goal, one good game? Like, is it happening that quick now? Like, because back in the day, I felt like you got to have at least a good season. But now I feel like, he's scored 3 crackers. Is that a thing?
Yeah,
it is.
it does.
That's crazy.
It does happen.
That's crazy to me.
It does, but not everywhere. But it does, especially if they're young. Today, like as soon as you're young and you start playing.
How much is that, say, and just use you as an example, how much is that you being smart when you see things to be pushing the seed out as well to attract the deal? Because very rare the club will come.
Look, for me, I'm the kind of person, as soon as you have an offer from Europe, when it is the right environment, if you can go in a club where they want you, good environment, good league, you should go straight away. People are saying, oh, you should get more experience, 40, 50 games. Majority of those people, they never played in Europe. They don't know how it is. Like, when you start training twice a day, you know, and you play so many games. When you play, for example, I'll give you an example. You've got some young players here. So the NPL hasn't started. Okay?
Yeah.
So you've got some young players playing in A-League, training. The majority of the time, starting 11 works really hard. And the players who are not playing, they don't work as hard. They don't play during the weekend, so you don't get any game time.
Wait, what did you say? Starting 11 works hard.
Starting 11,
Because they play again.
because they play, so coaches focus on the starting 11 here.
Bro, bench is the hardest position in
Yeah,
the
but
world.
Nah, what I'm saying is like you work, bro.
Fitness,
You work. No, but you work and everything, and
They have
everything
no
is
competition outside of
it's around.
doggies.
It's around the starting 11.
Yeah.
If you sometimes, depending on the coaches, if you don't play, you're just a pole.
Yeah,
You're just there like to be a number. That unfortunately. So first of all, in Europe, it doesn't happen. So you don't get any game time until Christmas and after Christmas. When the NPL starts, it's in February or whatever. So you haven't played for 6 months. And then when the finals happen, you don't want the young players to play in NPL because because of injuries, everything.
How does it work with just, I mean, unless you've got any more questions before I sort of ask this one.
No, just that's an interesting top that you're wearing.
You like it?
No.
What is it? Is that a Mercurial?
You don't like a mercurial top?
Hey, what boots?
Well, I
did
don't
you-
like your
Wait,
shoes.
Can I ask what boots did you wear when you played? What was your boot?
Fuck, in France, so one of my first year was with Mitsuno, and then I signed with Nike. I think for years I was with Nike in France, and then here I was with Adidas.
Did you wear Vapors, Nikes, or you wear the Total 90 type?
No, I think as a back then it was
The
like
Tiempo, maybe?
No, yeah,
CTR.
Tiempo, CTR.
CTR, this one.
Then I played with but then like in Europe, at my time, you had to play, for example, like if you sign a contract with Nike, you had to play with CTR. You couldn't change. Like you had to play with them because whatever you're getting paid or something, like they give you a model and you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
And then after I came here, I was with Adidas.
Yeah, you were with Adidas.
Whatever,
you wore
I was just with Old School Copa or something. So
No,
actually, no.
That was at
actually playing
Nunawading.
with Predator.
you wore Predator.
I was playing Predator. I was playing with Predator.
I do have a question for you about development. So in Victoria at the moment, there's this new NTC thing coming, right? Which was kind of similar to the VIS model before. Do you know about VIS, AIS?
Yeah,
You
a
basically
little bit, yeah.
recruit the best, however many was it, 15 players
Yes.
in
Instead
an
of
age
having
group,
the academy, you just pick the best ones and they're together.
and then they come together and then they play in like the local league
It's
or whatever, and it's just trying to centralize all your talent into one pool,
That's what
right?
Adelaide do, like to get the players from the state.
So that's what we had before. VIS is what Jake did, and AIS is the country altogether,
Yeah.
right? Then we went to the model of having academies like Victory, City, Western. Now NTC is coming in, and they're trying to take but they're saying you can either play for Victory in the academy in Victory, or you can come to us. You can't do both. So essentially making it competitive between, like, they're going to be this centralized thing now, right? And saying, if you want to be at Victory, well, you can't come to this centralized thing. Which is you're an interesting person to ask, because France, Clairefontaine is probably like, everyone knows is like the most famous place that did that centralizing talent.
Before we get his educated opinion on this, because I went through it, at the time, it was the flip, right? It was the best thing to go to, but if you didn't make it, you had to figure out your own path.
Yeah.
Now they're saying it's probably you're going to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
For sure, probably now, despite how good it was in the history of the game in Australia to go to the AIS and all the players that went there, you'd almost choose the academy because
Makes sense in my mind.
that's who
now.
you want to end up playing for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
You
a
know what I
pathway,
mean?
right?
So
But what's your perspective on, do they have Clairefontaine anymore? Is that still a
Yeah,
thing?
but it's a different thing. And to be honest, like back then, all the best young players, or when you had trials to go to Clairefontaine, as soon as you were in Clairefontaine, all the big clubs will come anyway for you. Like it was quite easy. Like
After you finish there.
you finish, like you can
yeah.
stay 2 years, like Anelka, Henry, like Trezeguet, like all those Ben Arfa, all those players went through that, but you didn't have to go through that. Like
Yeah.
Benzema at Lyon or something, like you've got players straight away, like Nasri was in Marseille, like so you didn't have to go through that to be successful. Here, it's complicated because you look at some, for example, the national team, young players. You've got amateur clubs, players representing amateur clubs and playing for young Socceroos and everything, which for me, it's crazy because you've got 12, 13 professional team or 11 here in Australia. If you're not part of a professional club at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, it means you're not good enough to be a professional player. You can tell me whatever you want. If you're at amateur level, if one of those clubs haven't picked you, it's because you're not good enough.
I don't know if I agree with that.
But hold on, if you want to become if you want to become a professional player in A League, you must play for one of the A League clubs. It is easier to go through the academy to become it's very rare when you're 15, 16 years old and playing NPL.
It's rare, yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
Okay. Becoming a soccer player in Australia is not the hardest thing, especially today when you look at what clubs are trying to do for pushing young players to play. So it's not the hardest thing. 10 years ago, I think it was probably harder. But now today, you've got a lot of players pushing, even if they don't deserve it. Like they've been pushed. My thing is like if you're supposed to be in a better environment in a professional club than amateur club, because you're supposed to train more. You're supposed to have better people with better knowledge. I'm not telling you it's a case. I'm just telling you it should be that way. So you should be, if you're 15 years old, 16 years old, and you're not at, if you're Victoria and you're not in one of those 3 clubs, then it's gonna be hard.
But what about when people say that those 3 clubs aren't the best 3 clubs to be at?
I'm not telling you they're the best clubs. Okay, my thing for me, when you're young players, it's about game time. Clubs, the coach is very important, because you need a coach who can work with young players, who can make you better, work with you. At the end, if you're gonna do finishing, and someone who can help you, if you're defenders, things you can work on, doing tactical stuff, everything. You need knowledge for that. It's not just you need to be having. You need to have people dedicated to help you to go through that. But if you're one of the big clubs, are you gonna play? Sometimes people said, "Oh, I want to go to this club because it's a big club." Are you gonna play there? Because when those kind of clubs might be able to sign marquees, spend money on foreigners and everything, are you gonna play with them, or are you? But when I say it's to try to find a mix, because I don't want to go to a team where it's just young players, because you're not gonna get better. And if it's just they're too good, you're never gonna play. So you need to find that balance where you're gonna have some really good experienced players, but at the same time the club is also gonna try to push some players. So where you can say, okay, I'm gonna play with this player. He played at the top level. Everything is gonna help me. The coach is played also at the top level. Look, I don't want to be that kind of person who say, if you have a coach who played at the top level as well, it helps, because that's the only world. We're in a world in football where you have people who never kicked a ball in their life, but they're gonna come and try to explain to you how to do things. How does it work? So you have some academies. The coach, if he can't kick a ball, how are you going to demonstrate things? What kind of credibility do you have, especially with young players? For me, I wish and I hope every academy in this country should have former players. It's
As
obviously
coaches,
former players should be coaching in academy. That's it. If you've never played for that club, you shouldn't be coaching. But the problem, it's about resources, the finance. So, but now here we try to separate the state and clubs.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
The only
question.
sense it can make for me is the age group. I think from 15, 16 onwards, you definitely want to be in the club. But if you're younger, the reason I say this is because having the best players together with the right coach, as Fahid said, some of these academies, it's
But would you not assume that getting the best players together, that should be happening at the academies anyway?
But
you should.
So
but
surely there's not that many good Australian players. You need to have a 4th competitive
potentially it's
Victoria.
Does it have to
potentially at
pay?
state level, but think of it at national level.
Raj, does it have to pay to go to
It's a different
the academy?
ballgame, bro.
To the academy,
Or all that
they
kind
have
of
to
stuff.
pay to do everything.
Okay,
They
so
have
you
to
see,
pay to do everything. Yeah.
so I'll give an advice to anyone. If you have to pay to play football in a professional club, it's not normal.
Yes, correct.
True.
Yeah.
At these
I'm gonna tell you one thing. If you get
Correct.
picked because you're one of the best young players, club should pay for you.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
As simple as it is.
100%.
Did you used to pay at BIS?
Never.
And
Scholarship. It's all
anything?
scholarship
Yeah,
based.
that
Well,
So-
that's not. They pay at NTC. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's not as much as other clubs and stuff.
So
Because
they
NTC
pay.
you know what?
is the
If you're a talented young player, you should not pay to play football. If you're gonna be in an academy, if the academy doesn't pay for you, maybe start looking at different things, because you shouldn't. If you're a talented young player, club at one point they need to play you. They need to. It's the only country in the world where we're actually paying $2.5 grand, $3 grand a year to play soccer for 7 months or something. And the majority of the time, some of them don't even know the football. You're getting coached by people who don't know anything. It's a business thing. And the problem is a lot of people with no money and really talented young players from different countries or something can't afford that. So it becomes a business when it's about the money and you have to pay to be part of an academy or whatever state thing. It's a business thing. It's not about football.
And all it takes is for one parent to go, let my son come in and I pay, I'll give 100 grand.
There's a big difference between paying an
and then
academy.
all of a sudden, we take your kid and we take the 100 grand. And someone misses out.
There's a big difference between going to an academy, private academy, and because you want to get better and improve and do more training.
That's different.
And obviously that's different. You pay that. But if you want to go to whatever, the 3 clubs here in Victoria, you shouldn't be paying. It doesn't matter. Whatever they say, they
Is
should.
it Wanderers is the only one that you don't pay? I think Wanderers you don't
really?
pay.
Is that a fact?
Shout out Wanderers
I
if
know,
so.
I think
And we don't care about the facts here, but I'm pretty sure you don't have to pay.
But I,
yeah,
don't,
right,
to be honest,
baby.
Backers Club.
I don't know, but to be honest, like you shouldn't be paying to be part of the academy.
Yeah.
It's us, and if you're good, I always tell parents, and sometimes I get phone calls, everything, and like asking me to look after players, and I said, look, I never do that. I don't want to look after players I don't know, and I don't care. Like if it's friend or something, I'm not interested, and I don't want to have so many players. I don't want to have too many players, but I'll tell them one thing: if your kid is 17 and 18 years old, and he's an A-League environment. When I mean training with the A-League,
Good
move
luck.
him. It's too late. But no, it's too late, man. You know what? It's when I mean it's too late. It's like the clubs today are desperate to have some young players. Every clubs in this country try to have some young players, regardless of the project. Like Victory, they have 2 or 3 young players, like coming through. Sydney FCs have a good mix, like Auckland as well, like all of them. Some of them deserve it, some of them don't deserve it. But if you're at 18 years old and you think, okay, my son is in NPL or whatever, he's at 18, man, it's too late.
I don't, because like we're saying, you're talking about this. There is clubs out there, and there's people that are running things and making big decisions that aren't the best at making those decisions. So there is players that get missed, and then they go overseas and they get seen and they go, oh, actually this player is talented and they're successful. It happens, bro. It
Yeah, well,
happens.
he's,
It does
he's one
happen.
of them. That's why.
does
That's why
happen.
Hold
you
on,
have that
Raj,
view.
one
And I
saying-
think it happens
Sure,
less
that's why-
now, but that happened with me, and maybe I wasn't talented enough.
What
at
I'm
the time.
saying
I don't
is
know,
like,
but
Well,
I'm
you
saying
win another
it's
country.
rare. I'm not saying
But
it
had to go
does.
somewhere
I'm
else,
saying it's rare. When I say it's too late for me, it's like, first of all, it's not what I want to do. But the thing is, like, when I mean it's too late, because it's a small country, and the football rush, trust me, like, I'm not gonna say it's not good enough or something, but today it's not the same generation it was 20 years ago. You don't have the same talent, and so to be missed today with all the information they have, the relationship between clubs and NPL clubs and
it's
everything.
much less, definitely.
Seriously,
For sure.
it is very hard to be missed.
Yeah.
Everyone talks to each other. Look, you're on social media. I'm not. How many parents put clips on about their kids on video because they do 2 things or whatever, one bicycle here and blah blah whatever, and then all of a sudden, oh, my kid is a genius. Look how good he is. Everything. They all try to do that. So to miss someone, I think it's very rare. And what can happen is like a player can be in a academy, a professional academy, move from there to an NPL because he's not very happy, and then starts playing, for example, if he's 16, 17 years old, playing NPL 1, for example, and you start doing well, and another club come and pick you. That does happen. But if you're at 18 years old, you've never been in a professional environment,
Yeah, that's different.
they don't know you. And seriously, when I speak to clubs, try to go and tell them, oh man, this player in NPL 1, he's 18, 19 years old. How many are going to take a risk? Maybe one. Seriously. And again, it does happen, but it's not easy.
I think to end, they missed me, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Do you know my dad thought, he goes, do you remember goalkeeper? I go, no, he's actually got nice feet, Dad.
Is he a goalkeeper?
hey,
He's got nice
You reckon
feet.
he looks like a
He's
goalkeeper?
he's a hold-up striker.
he's not here,
Is he a
but
G-Cup?
Gavin played 5-a-side with us last week.
Yeah.
Right?
He's got nice feet.
He will prove that I'm not as bad as I look.
I think you're a good
that's
player,
all I'm
bro.
going to
I've
say.
seen you play football.
But then Gavin was on the phone to his missus while I scored the best goal. And I said, fucking watch me play.
Like, you need to put up some clips like Fahid said about the parents putting their kids up of the so
Hey,
people
I need
know.
to act like I'm my dad, though. I'm going to act as my dad, but just putting clips of
Yeah,
myself.
look at my son, Jerome.
But
for-
it's seriously, it's very hard.
Hey,
it's hard.
can we aim one day to have your good Spanish friend on our show?
No, I
It's
can
possible?
try. Yeah, I can try.
Man,
I just tell him I love him.
Man
Tell
U fan,
him,
Man U fan, Chelsea fan,
Tell him I love him.
Espanol.
And tell him that he's just a man.
He said something to me the other day about, like, he said, oh, I don't get nervous or something when I meet people, but fuck, I think if I met Juan Mata, I'd go fucking crazy or something.
Dude,
Maybe we don't
Because
have it for that.
because
you
of
know-
you guys, I've met footballers, right? And like the last time I was genuinely nervous to meet an Australian footballer was when I was younger, when it was Archie, because that's my hero.
Yeah.
Right. So
And then
I,
you meet Archie and you're like, yeah, this guy's the most laid back guy ever, bro.
dude, I fucking love
idolized
Archie.
this
Yeah.
guy for so long.
Nah, I mean, still, but one is, I got to tell myself that I'm getting up at 2, 3 a.m. every single week to watch this guy in a very good Chelsea team Okay, he didn't win the league with us, but we won the fucking Champions League
But imagine
Like-
for some players, like, you know, when you bring him or Douglas Costa
to play with them.
to play with them.
Yeah.
And there's players like, you know, they've been watching and everything and playing PlayStation. But, you know, it's no, but it's
true.
it's
It's
crazy.
true.
And
true.
I think that's a good point to end on. We all want to see him play, like I said, and I mean, Alen, Fahid's not going to stop, so just play him, bro.
no, I'm gonna stop unless he comes back at me or whatever. And then,
Oh, let's see,
nah.
man.
And to the
We shall see. Fahid, I just want to thank you for being open and honest and coming on and giving us your time. I know you're a busy guy, and not, you know, I know you had journalists and everything blow up your line, but I guess you decided to come here for some reason.
No, I didn't have the choice.
Yeah, whatever. Guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff.
Shout
5
out.
stars.
Shout out TX Football.
Shout out TX Football as well. We're going to be posting some stuff with them as well. Got this nice match quality football next to me. Keeping me company.
Hey, hey, they should play with that in A-League.
This.
This?
They're actually good, man.
Hey, we're gonna go
Did you?
check.
I played with them.
We're gonna go check.
Oh, did you?
I did. Seriously, they're good balls, man.
Yeah, I can tell.
Really good.
We're going to go check out the facilities.
Yeah, and we've got a good video coming with us using that ball. We played footvolley over the
Today.
screens at
Actually.
Allianz Stadium. Is it coming out today?
What?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You what?
And it was, good cushion on
They
it.
were controlling the ball, him and Gavin,
Yeah.
over 6 screens.
No, you
so like
shake your
over,
head. You won't appreciate it.
yeah. It's actually damaging property.
They're
Probably
fucking-
never be allowed back at
not
Allianz
TVs
Stadium.
in the stadium. They're kicking it through a hole and going around the whole thing. Him and Gavin.
Yeah, but
While
we
the
said the
game's-
A-League
while the
needs
game's
culture.
on. Why are the games on, bro?
And
Why-
then
why
the
is it
security
not-
Yeah, I'm
guard-
watching the game whilst they're doing this. I didn't even realize.
And then did you hear Gavin's rebuttal? So the security guard said no ball games on the concourse, and Gavin goes, "What? They're doing that over there." He pointed to the ground. On the ground, he couldn't
So,
understand.
did you have the ball with you on the pitch?
No,
It's
no.
like the first level of the stand.
Near the
and
bars
you
with the
get
food.
and bar.
Okay.
The walkway, there's a TV every 20 meters.
Every
and then there's
aisle.
a little gap. And they juggle, kick it through, take it down, move back, go to the next one, around the whole ground. And they almost do a lap whilst I'm there watching Wellington victory.
Yeah, we missed the game
I
by
missed
doing
the
that.
whole, they missed half the game.
Yeah, shout
Trying
out
to
the
do this
Knicks.
challenge.
The nook.
Oh, yeah, the Knicks fans love us.
Yeah,
Stuff the Knicks, man.
Guys, that's
Great.
it. Thank you. Love you all.
Peace.